Hello again, and thanks for stopping by. This is Pamela Simons with the TFN Realty Inc. brokerage. I'm excited to share my knowledge and expertise with you, and today this short video is all about the metrics and analysis for people looking to be real estate investors. I have to admit, I'm a real estate investor. My significant other and I own several properties, and we've enjoyed a lot of growth. I think the key to our success, though, has been starting early. So that's kind of important. And as we proceed through this, keep that in mind. Now, real estate is a very powerful investment tool that can provide opportunities for generating income and building wealth. This particular presentation, I want to cover investor goals in real estate, key financial metrics like ROI and ROE, and the difference between cash flow and equity growth. Let's dive into the essentials and learn a little bit more and educate ourselves as real estate investors. So ultimately, investors want to maximize their investment. All investors want to maximize their investment, and they're looking at two particular areas. So the first one is return on investment, and return on investment has to do with uh, the money that you put in and the returns that you get out. Sometimes that is an element of longer term, and sometimes it's an element of also some cash flow items. Ultimately, it's the profit gained from your investment. To calculate ROI or return on investment, you take the net profits divided by the investment cost and multiply it by 100, and that should give you a percentage. Return on equity has to do with the equity growth that comes from the property. And you want to consider the fact that you'll have mortgage or loan payoff elements. So to calculate return on equity, you take net income divided by the equity and multiply it by 100. Investors are looking for both ROI, ROE, and lastly, cash flow. So let's talk a little bit more about cash flow. So, cash flow is generating immediate income. Now, the goal of cash flow is that the income that you are receiving exceeds the expenses associated with the property. That, when it is positive, is called positive cash flow. And rental income should exceed the expenses. And keep in mind, the expenses would include the mortgage interest, the insurance, maintenance, other expenses associated with the property. But ultimately, your rental income should exceed that. Negative cash flow. There are some investors that actually are looking for negative cash flow. For tax reasons, they may want the write-offs. So negative cash flow is not always a negative thing because there are some reasons why somebody might want negative cash flow. Ultimately, I find that with regular monthly tenancy, typically, it's going to be break even or slightly above. If you get into short term tenancy and managing a virtual Airbnb style property, you'll notice that your return and cash flow is much greater. There is probably also with short term rentals the opportunity for you to utilize your investment property, especially if you're thinking, well, I want to be a snowbird. I want to go down in the winter months. I'm a digital nomad. So you do have those opportunities. Equity growth, building long term wealth. So ultimately, equity growth has to do with you bought the property. Say you bought one of my investment properties that I currently have. It cost you 150,000 US. And in 10 years' time, when you decide you're going to do something different, you sell it and you sell it for 300,000. So the equity growth is the difference between those two numbers, what you originally paid, or if you had a mortgage on it, then you've paid it down and you've built equity into the property. or just over time the equity has built up. In that example, you would have achieved $150,000 in equity growth. That's one of the reasons why real estate is a long term wealth strategy. Cash flow is more about every day. So, again, when I think about it, if I'm looking as a snowbird and I want to supplement my CPP or OAS, maybe having an Airbnb rental property or a rental property that gives me an extra, 1,000 a month or more would certainly help subsidize my living expenses. But it might also be that I plan to go and utilize the property as my lifestyle permits. Often there's a balanced approach. And when you have that conversation with me, we talk a little bit about what your gain is, what your strategy, what your hopes are for investing in real estate. I think the best thing is that real estate does offer a lot of great opportunities for people. And so that's something that I don't want you to miss out. So it might be cash flow, it might be more equity growth, or it might be something that's balanced in between. One thing that you'll decide or know for sure is that divesting from the Toronto area where cash flow is not to be found, and even equity growth right now is a little shaky, I can help you with that as well. So there is opportunity for you to divest and reallocate those funds to something that will start producing that balanced approach to real estate. All right. Well, ultimately, this is me, Pamela. I am with a TFN. I actually work with various overseas builders and brokers. So that's my team in the Dominican Republic in the corner. You can reach me. My phone number is there. You can reach me via WhatsApp. You can reach me on my website, which will actually take you over to some videos. I've got videos on my current projects. I encourage you to look at them. Well, thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk again real soon.